Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's great to have you here at our Customer Experience Management Summit. Are you all excited with what we have in store? Those of you who were there last night, let me see by show of hands. Oh, that's quite a lot of you. We had a great time, didn't we? Woo! Those are definitely the ones who were the last people at the bar last night. I know, yes, I'm not pointing any fingers, but some of you were here till very late. On the dance floor as well. But yes, it was a fantastic evening. It was the CX Africa Summit Awards, and we had some fantastic winners. Some people came up on stage too many times. Multi-choice, where are you? Oh, look at them. So excited with all the awards. Yes, we had a great time. So what I'm going to do now, very quickly, just to get you energized and to make sure you're ready for this exciting conference that we have for you. Everybody take out your cell phones quickly. Have you all got it? When you take it out, I want you to look for your favorite family picture. Look for your favorite family picture. Have you all got it? It's taking you that long? Right, now show it to the person next to you. Has everybody seen it? Good. Now please do not put us through that for the rest of the day. You will not be showing family pictures to anyone. You've had your chance, that's done. If you're single, you can show your selfies, right? And now is the last time I'm going to ask you to put your phones off. So very quickly before we do that, quickly take a selfie of yourselves at the conference, with your groups, with your friends. Go on, take a selfie for posterity. There you go, you know, like Ellen did. It's a big thing, guys. You can even tweet this. The hashtag to use is CEM Africa. Yeah, look at Johan. Johan's doing the proper Ellen thing with everybody in the background. And the hashtag to use is CEM Africa. You can tweet at CEM Africa as well. Same handle. All done? Lovely, right. Put your phones away, put it on silent, put it off. Please do not have it on during the course of the conference. Guys, I am so excited with what's in store. We have a stunning lineup of speakers. I mean, this summit is in its 6th year running, and it's just growing. It's getting bigger and bigger. Look around you. Look at all the delegates. Look at the lineup on the agenda of the speakers. It's just indicative of where we are as a continent, where we're going, how progressive, how forward-thinking we are. We might be an emerging continent, but we certainly have a global mindset, and we have a very forward-thinking approach in the customer experience industry. So welcome again to all of you. I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm going to introduce you to my co-pilot shortly, but she will reiterate what I'm going to say, in that we'd like you all to be in the moment, to be here, to open yourselves up to everything that you're going to receive. Obviously, not everything is going to appeal to you or be relevant to you. Take what you want from this conference, use it, but also open yourselves up to new ways of thinking, new approaches. Just be in the moment, be present, and enjoy it totally. Okay, so before I give you the house rules, I'd like to introduce you to my partner in crime, my co-pilot. Firstly, those of you who met me last night, yes, I was the one not partying with you delinquents till the early hours of the morning, but my name is Leander Reddy. I'm also going to be the moderator, co-moderator today. I am a television actress, personality, TV personality, but more importantly, my co-pilot, she has a wealth of experience. She really is. She doesn't like me calling her an expert, so I'd rather refer to her as a thought leader. And instead of me giving you an entire CV, let me just draw your attention to something of particular significance. She led the development of the client experience function at Barclays Wealth with responsibility across US, UK, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Louise has set up a CX consulting business with a partner in South Africa and is currently working at Nedbank developing a client journey management center of excellence. Her favorite thing to do is to drink coffee, good coffee, with friends, and the only thing that trumps that is drinking gin with friends. So obviously, from all of that information, you can see that between the two of us, I am the brain, definitely the go-to person for any industry knowledge, and she is all glam and beauty. Ladies and gentlemen, Louise, please welcome. She's also from the UK, all the way from the UK. I'm not talking about Comair. And her surname is van der Hoeven, South Africa, UK, and Dutch. She's basically an ancestor in South Africa. But what she doesn't know is that currently, when it comes to any issues of national interest or importance in South Africa, we always consult Indians. Which is why I am here today. Before I hand over to Louise van der Hoeven to initiate our fantastic panel discussion this morning, I'd just like to say the last few words. They're very rare moments in life where we get to have a new outlook and to shift thinking. And I believe that's what's in store for us over these next few days. And the most difficult things in life to acquire are not, contrary to popular belief, Ferraris or yachts or islands, but rather inspiration and time. And that's what this conference is about. It's bringing you inspiration in a concentrated time. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for my co-pilot, Louise van der Hoeven. Okay, quickly, before she takes over the panel, I just want to chat to you about a few house rules. So as you know, we have panel discussions and master classes, which are happening during the break, so you'll see through your agenda. We'd like you guys, if you haven't done it already, to download the Hello Crowd app from the App Store. Does everyone have it? You can download that. And when you do, search for the CEM Summit, and that will give you access to all information in this conference. And we encourage you to post comments, questions, feedback on that app itself. There might be agenda or timing changes. These will be updated through that app. There is signage everywhere, so you know where to go. If you're still having trouble, there are Kinetic staff around. You'll know them by their badges. It says Kinetic. They are on hand to answer any of your questions, to help you with any information you need. They're Kinetic teams, so obviously they're moving all the time, but you will find them with their badges. The Wi-Fi password, I'm sure everybody wants that, is very, very complicated, so please pay attention. And I'm going to ask you to repeat it after me. The Wi-Fi password is CEM. Does everyone have that? CEM, and remember, just a reminder, you can tweet at CEM Africa, #CEM Africa. Meals, coffee breaks, all will happen in the foyer. If you'd still like to come to the front, anyone in the back, you're welcome to do so. Fill up these seats if you want to ask questions and just be very interactive. It's a relaxed atmosphere. We want you all to be involved and excited and have fun today. Right, over to you.
Thank you very much. Right, so just conscious of time and to try and keep us on track through the day, I'm going to very quickly introduce our panel for this first session this morning. And just to remind you, the subject for this panel is the predictions for client experience in the future. So it seems a fitting way to introduce this couple of days, actually, is to sort of think, how might this transpire as we go forward? And with all of these experts in the room and all of the knowledge and skills and experience and the conversation that I hope will come out of these presentations, that's what we should be thinking about, is what is it that we've got to do to change client experience for the client in the future, for the companies, etc., that we work for. So, on my left, we've got Prof. Adre Schreuder. I think most of you have probably heard of him before. He has a wealth of academic experience and all the credibility that that brings. But importantly, I thought when I was looking at his resume, is that he's a member of the American Marketing Association and also the Academy of Marketing Science, both international bodies. And I think that's the real value that we can get from this discussion, is that interaction of what's happening in South Africa and what do we think, how does that compare with what's going on overseas. Next to Adre is Iain. Some of you probably know her. Iain has moved around a little bit and starts her new role on Monday as the Managing Executive of Vodacom for Client Insight and Loyalty. So congratulations on the move there. But a lot of experience to bring to the table from Takealot, Sun International, and Barclays Africa. We can talk later. Then next to Iain, we've got Iain Golding, who's here from the UK. But Ian's expertise that he brings to the panel is that international flavor, very much so. He's worked in 35 countries, advising and supporting companies with development of client experience in the many different facets. And then we've got Iain Meaker, who, Iain with two eyes, I must say, is from Comair. And the thing that I loved about one of the parts of your CV or synopsis, if you like, is that amongst other things, Iain is responsible for differentiation in airline customer experience. Chicken or beef? Anyway, over to the panel. So in opening it up, Adre, could I ask you to just give us your thoughts on how you see South Africa client experience changing for the future?
Good morning to all. Thank you for the question. I think myself and Iain just exchanged some views, and we agree that South Africa has now reached a mature industry. And I would like to commend the contribution of Kinetic for putting this conference, which I think is the foremost conference in customer experience in the continent. And where are we? Where are we heading? I think we've gone through that stage where the first phase was all about, let's understand what it is all about. So measurement was one of the major things. But I've developed a new saying, is that better measurement is not going to change anything. You need to act on it. You need to really start doing stuff. And maybe the thing that we sometimes get wrong is that we think it's all, glitz and glamour, it's all about tools and whatever else. And as one of the speakers last night said, it's actually basic stuff. It is getting people to change their hearts and minds and really deliver that great experience on a one-to-one basis. South Africa is not too bad when it comes to this. We are actually our own worst enemies because we are very critical of our own level of delivery. In the South African Customer Satisfaction Index, you would find it surprisingly that in the last 3 to 4 years, we've always been in the top 5 countries in the world. And a lot of people say, well, how's that possible? The trend is that we see is that we have a slowly developing expectation set. And I think maybe I will end with that in saying the expectations of the average South African consumer and customer is increasing every year. So no more can we say, well, because the expectations are so low, it's easy to meet them. Those expectations are rising. South Africans are starting to get more socially, let's call it active, and therefore they're going to voice their unhappiness as we see social media growth being one of the fastest growing social media industries in the world. So I'd like to end with that and give over to the next speaker.
Thank you very much. And I tend to agree. I mean, the point about action and measurement, the old saying of you can stand on the scales, but that in itself doesn't actually help you to lose weight. So I think it's a really good point. Iain Golding, if I could ask you to respond in terms of some of the thoughts that Adre said there. What do you see for the future overseas that might be different to what we're experiencing here?
Thank you very much, and good morning to all of you. Two Brits on the stage. That's an interesting start to the day. What I will say to start with is that in the last 4 weeks, I have been in Jordan, Dubai, the US, the Netherlands, and now South Africa. And I can confidently say that this is the biggest group of people with an interest in CX that I have seen in any of those countries. So what's fascinating is that there is undoubtedly a huge focus on customer experience in this part of the world. However, one of the major issues that I see in all of the parts of the world that I'm very fortunate to be able to go to is that we are moving into a very definitive phase of complacency. The biggest challenge that I'm observing in organizations of all industries in all parts of the world is their inability to sustain their focus on customer experience. We only have to see what happened to United Airlines 6 weeks ago, which quite frankly is astonishing considering that 9 years ago they did the same kind of thing with United Brakes Guitars, and nothing's changed. I think the challenge that I see for South Africa, if it doesn't want to mirror what's happening in the US and in Europe especially, is that it has got to be committed to CX in the long term. There are many organizations who are talking about it. All of your organizations are obviously talking about it, which is why you're here. But how many of them understand that this is a principle, a methodology, a set of competencies that will need to be embedded into your organizations, not just for the next 2 years, but for the next 100 years? I think the larger the organization, the more complacent they can tend to become. And so I think, is South Africa on a par with other parts of the world? I think you are very close to being on a par with the US and Europe in terms of your maturity with CX. But I think the challenge, as I say, is ensuring that there is that recognition that not only will you never finish doing this, you still have a long way to go. And I think, I know it sounds like I'm preaching, but that consistency of delivering the experience forever is something that you must impress on all of your leadership teams in all of your organizations, in all of the industries you represent.
Thanks very much, Iain. To the next Iain, sorry. So, Iain, what do you think that means for companies in South Africa? I mean, we've heard complacency, it's an ongoing task. What are the big challenges for companies here to address in order to go down this path and do it with speed?
I think companies have to obviously really understand that the type of business that they're in and what's important to the customer and what's important from a customer delivery perspective. And different things are going to be appropriate to different companies in terms of how they apply this. But to that point of Iain, it's got to become ingrained culture in your organization in terms of really building the entire ecosystem that supports the customer. It's how you take the customer insights and how do you deliver those into the organization. And how does the organization use the customer insights in terms of improving, in terms of discussing the pain points, in terms of understanding the emotions that customers go through. So, and then that's what supporting technologies are you going to adopt. And with us sort of at the coalface, and airlines are often brought into the mix in terms of good examples of bad customer experience. But, it's at the coalface, you've got to kind of look at all the available helping, supporting tools, what technologies are available, kind of work through what's appropriate to your business. We deal in a pretty mass market situation where, our staff are seeing thousands of customers a day. And how do we empower them? So how do we use technology? How do we use artificial intelligence to give them the information about the person that's standing in front of them that they're able to act on, as opposed to letting computers try and drive customer behavior. It's how do we rather empower our staff to make empowered decisions? Because at the moment, it's very much a question of we have safety issues, we have a number of issues that we've got to portray, and we have a kind of a one-size-fits-all approach. And it's not appropriate for a family that will be traveling versus a business person that has a very different and unique situation. So I think companies need to look at that ecosystem. They need to look at how do they build out an understanding of what that ecosystem is. How do you stitch it all together and kind of make it appropriate? And then at a senior level, in terms of the executive within the company, the customer really, then the focus around customer needs to kind of shift into the center. It needs to be ingrained in the values of a company. And these initiatives are owned by everybody. It's not owned by the customer experience department. The customer experience department is there to ensure that information flows and understanding flows. But it's the operational teams, it's the check-in agents at the counters, and it's the supervisors around the check-in agents and the crew. They need to take that information, and they're the ones that need to kind of adopt it, and they need to obviously ensure that at the end of the day, they're using that information in terms of taking responsibility for the customer through that customer journey.
Thank you. Some good insights. So my question, Eike, and sorry, you've got the hard part here. So what is it that's stopping us? What is it that's stopping the companies that we all represent here in South Africa from taking action, from overcoming the complacency, and to actually empowering all of our staff? What would you bring to that?
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I think one of the biggest challenges organizations has got a structure. And a lot of us that's got a big passion for this industry and what we do are finding ourselves in a position where we've got to constantly lobby and constantly convince the rest of the organization of what's the right thing to do. And we know what is the right thing to do, but implementation is the toughest part. And the structures are not making it easy, because traditionally organizations are structured in departments like marketing and sales and service. Yet our customer crosses across all of those, and they're not interested in structure. What's becoming more a challenge is that in traditional organizations, your structure also then channels follow structure. But the customer is starting to use omni-channels and experiences and engagements that reports into different of these structures. And then I think processes has become, in my last 4 or 5 years, I've seen that one of the biggest enablers that we've got to enable and take the rest of the organization on the journey is to use the measures and the insights that we have to find those action things to do and to implement it. And it's tough because you need drivers. You need a lot of drivers. You need grid because it's not easy. You need to convince people and lobby them. You need to do what you need to do, and then you have to have a good understanding of people. How do you enable the touch points that are passionate about service? You've got to know process, and then you've got to have a very good understanding of the enabling technologies. So, I mean, I love the business that I'm in and what I'm doing, and I'm thankful that I got introduced to it by people like Adre. And I remember distinctly, many years ago, where the term CRM was happening, and it was driven by technology. And people were trying to determine what is that. We've matured so much. Our challenge is that we've got almost too many tools now, too many things, and to get back to that basics that we actually action and implement.
Do you want to go first, Adre? I was just one very quick thing, just to absolutely endorse what Eike has said. The 3 words that I tend to shout at clients with is cross-functional collaboration. I think businesses are making this almost impossible to sustain because they are failing to break down the silos and walls that exist between functions. And this is not exclusive to South Africa, this is a global problem. Until businesses are able to work together to deliver the customer experience together, you will find it very difficult, if not impossible, to sustain your focus on customer experience.
Agreed.
Thanks, Iain. Adre, the last word, and then we must move on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Would like to absolutely agree with everything that's been said. I think a key thing for me is what Ike said, is this whole inability to really understand the structures and how they stand against this. You know, what was it, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a trending tweet sort of going through that brands should be handed over from marketing to the chief customer officers. And isn't that so true? Because we actually, customer experience is all about the brand, and the brand is all about the experience.
Some very insightful stuff coming from our panel here today. I'm just very sad that we're so pressed for time. But this is great to get a kind of high-level view of what the challenges are that we face, because this, in fact, is the advisory panel for the conference itself. So these are the consultants, you know, that have been consulted about what issues to cover in this conference. So very quickly, because we do have to move on with the keynote speakers, can we get maybe 2 questions from the audience to the panel? Do we have someone with a roving mic in the audience? Yes? Chelsea? We do. Is there a question? You can raise your hand. I know this is very difficult. I have to ask you to keep it very succinct and to the point, because we don't have much time. I know that's difficult for men, because they say after you get married, this is the only time people ever listen to you, but please keep it short. Ladies, we also have a problem, because we ask rhetorical questions, but today we're going to get answers. Okay, so let me ask a question, because at the most basic level, like every one of you in this room, I am a customer, right? So in 5 years, what do you guys say, as a customer, what can I expect in South Africa? How will things change? What will it be like?
Have your say and say it consistently. Don't shut up, you know. Keep on saying it. Don't accept any bad service.
I certainly think there's going to be greatly improved mechanisms that we can use as companies in delivering service to our customers that is going to really help us ensure that at the end of the day we understand them better. And in our application, we're able to do a lot more from a recognition perspective, and that's what I think people just naturally kind of want. You know, people share their lives with the world and expect feedback, and likewise your customers are going to expect feedback, but that feedback needs to be appropriate to their specific needs. And I think by embracing the opportunities that technology represent, it's a minefield, and we get a flood of various different types of technologies at us, but I think that there's going to become massive opportunity in the way that you know, big data was a big buzzword, but really it was just putting data together. But it's now how we make sense of the data, and it's how we use the insights of the data, and how the data learns about itself, and how we can start to see patterns, and how we can also start to see stuff happening in real time, is the stuff that's going to empower your staff. Because your staff at the end of the day are the important ones. They're the ones that have got to deliver, and there will always be people in the delivery. But it's how do we empower them? How do we give them opportunities to make decisions and to recognize customers? And I think we will see in the next 5 years, we will see a great advancement in terms of our ability to be able to deliver that.
And just one very quick thing, in validating how Adre started this conversation with clarifying that this needs to be kept simple, I would very much hope that in 5 years' time, what we will see far more often in South Africa and beyond is the application of good old-fashioned values. All I want to see is people smiling at you, looking at you, saying good morning, good afternoon, and it's not happening enough. This is not complicated, as much of what we do isn't complicated, but if in 5 years' time I come through into Tambo in Johannesburg and the guys on passport control smile at me, I will know that things have advanced.
Okay, so that's a tall order. Eh? Okay. Guys, thank you very much. I'm sorry we didn't have longer, but thank you for your insights there. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Our panel of experts. And I do know that they are willing to field questions a little later on during your break. So if ever you want to go up to them, this panel that was on the stage, and if you have more questions, you were very shy to ask them here, please feel free to chat to them a little later on. So we're going to move on now with our first keynote speaker.